So lately, I've been looking into, just doing research as I do, and I've been looking into Saturn and understanding what Saturn is, um, and the worship of Saturn. It's a cult where they worship Saturn, and understanding the worship of Saturn and Kronos and all, like, just understanding Saturn in general, because the celebrities, some of them worship Saturn, and it's shown in a lot of their performances and a lot of things that they do very subliminally. So I wanted to really like dive in. And diving into that, you learn about, uh, of course, the god Kronos, and you also learn about um, how back in the day, how they taught time, and time is associated with Saturn. But I couldn't explain it, so I'm gonna show you guys something that it will explain it a lot better, and it kind of connected a lot of dots for me.
Backwards in time. Did the ancients create a secret technology with the stones that can manipulate it?
The inner so-called horseshoe, because they were directional, they sort of pointed towards the influence of Saturn, not necessarily where it rose, but perhaps towards another monument on the horizon. But because of this, it gave Stonehenge a quite dark aspect, because Saturn is associated with the colour black, with death, mortality, and the end of time, basically. I find this theory a little odd, but the association with time, I think, is very important, because these stone circles often seem to reflect the idea of the passage of time.
Saturn is a fascinating planet because in the Greek mythology, it was Kronos, who was actually the Titan, the ruler of all the gods. And Zeus, Jupiter, had to overthrow Saturn in order to, A, survive, because Kronos was swallowing his own children. And there's something to be said for this relationship of Saturn to Satan, the adversary, the time itself, the old devil being time, because what do we know as humans? The one thing we all run up against that we cannot defeat is time. So Saturn, as this sort of ring lord, actually it's called Lord of the Rings, it was considered a very destructive planet. And it's difficult to understand exactly why. Each planet has a certain resonance. Mars for war, Pluto is sort of the outlier, Venus is for love, but Saturn has been this sort of monster in mythological history.
You had this understanding of Saturn and Kronos as being the sort of governors of time. There were certain mechanistic aspects of it, but it was also very fluid, and you have to associate the fact that there were cycles within cycles within cycles. By the time we get to the Greeks and the Romans, everything becomes very narrowly minded. It's very logical, linear, and you can't do that. Nature is not linear by any sense of the imagination. And you see that a lot of that, for example.
And that was just the tip of the iceberg, because I kept going, I kept doing research. That was just the tip of it. I don't know if y'all know this though, because the more research you do on ancient history and stuff like that, the more you realize that a lot of these cultures back in the day did human sacrifice, not trafficking, human sacrifice. It's very prevalent in a lot of cultures. Human sacrifice is very prevalent, and it's still prevalent in our day and age now. But it's just not talked about because it's happening in different ways, and people have been trying to tell y'all, but y'all not seeing it. So I'm trying to break it down. My audio messed up right here, but I don't know what happened. But anyway, I was trying to say that this is the ritual sacrifice that they did. You can pause to read. This is what I was saying. This is what they do, literal ritual sacrifice. The Egyptians did the same thing. You can pause to read. They did it included humans in their sacrifice as well. Yeah. You can see the Chinese as well during the Shango period, dynasty era. It included human sacrifice, had no bounds in China. The Incas as well. They messed up this whole audio. That's so interesting. That's why I had to do a voiceover. But yeah, the Incas did it as well. To appease the gods. Could see, to appease the gods. The Israelites did it as well. The Canaanites, this is where they get the Moloch. This is where you see Moloch. Moloch is Kronos. Kronos is Saturn. Saturn is Moloch. All the same names, all interchangeable. Okay, the Celtics did it. The
Druids.
Celtics did the same thing.
They
Again,
did the
also
same.
appease the gods. The
Human
Druids is in
sacrifice.
connection with fucking Queen Elizabeth and
The
Hawaiians.
You know, we do
Okay,
this too.
all of the
For
war.
ancient god of war. Even my people, I know they did it during the Haitian Revolution. My people did it too.
What I'm saying is, these people, what I'm saying is, I showed all these people that did it back in the day because this is what they felt like was the best decision when they didn't have no crops. They were in war, you know what I'm saying? But there's still people that are still doing this to this day, and they are just one person or a group of people that are doing this. You get what I'm saying? That's what I mean. I'm not demonizing ancestors for doing this, but I'm saying that there's people that are still doing this today, trying to appease the gods. That's literally the whole point of this, of them doing what they're doing. Even them trying to appease the Anunnaki and stuff like that, they're still doing these things still.
I say all that to say that this is where they get this notion of child sacrifice. It's always time. So they usually are sacrificing because of time. They're running out of time. They need to get something, and they're running out of time, or they need to get it faster. Time. You see that? You see the pattern of time. So this is Father Time. They call him the Church of Time. They call Father Time, Mother Nature, Father Time. Right? Pause to read if you want to. Okay. Also, Holy Trinity. Yeah. Yeah. This is where I wanted to see the most. It says, our religious truth emerges in comparing ancient child sacrifice to modern abortions. Listen to this. Some people become like gods. For them to become like gods and gods, they worship. The Carthaginians worshipped Baal Haman, equivalent to Kronos, we just talked about, Father Time, and Saturn, right. Not surprisingly, they became like him, willing to sacrifice their children, avert potential danger, gain success. Their self-serving endeavors. Modern autonomous man worships himself, is willing to abort his own offsprings in order to resolve crisis and achieve his own goals in serving the inadulterous self. Men become more and more like self-serving idols they worship, i.e. sinful man. They are willing to disregard any gods, gracious and laws, and accomplish their own ends. In their self-idolatry, men have set themselves up for a downward spiral of depravity, destruction from which only God's gracious mercy can deliver from them. So you see all these celebrities praying to Moloch, Kronos, Saturn, and you see all these symbolism, and you're wondering why. Because they know they pray to this man. He devoured his own children. He brought it down. I showed y'all the history of it. So if they sacrifice children to him, wouldn't that make sense? So this is why they do certain things. You see certain celebrities. Oh, I don't want to go too deep. Oh my God. Like for part 2 if you guys want, and I will go a little bit deeper. And we could talk about fucking Pizzagate, all that, because this is where shit will get really deep, because this is exactly who they're praying to. But this also ties into the Anunnaki story too. Oh my God. But anyway, bye y'all. Oh my God, I need to smoke.